Hello, testing? Testing? Are we here? I think we're here. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. We'll do some quick intros and such as always, and then of course we'll get into any goodies that we have for today. Welcome to anyone that is here. Looks like we have 4 people here. That's one more than last time. I'll take any that want to come and join in to our fun little streams. So, as an introduction for, again, anyone who may not know who I am, of course, my name is Nick Harris. I am a Senior Copilot Cloud Solution Architect with Microsoft. Welcome to the Microsoft 365 Copilot Connection, where we provide you the latest updates on Microsoft 365 features, functionality, use cases, tips and tricks, and all the fun goodies that come along with Microsoft 365. So, I don't really have much planned for today. I will say, first and foremost, some housekeeping items. My apologies for switching the stream for anyone that, is just jumping at it, right? I was a little under the weather on Wednesday. Really bad allergies. Didn't know if I was coming down with a cold or anything like that. So, hey, you know what? We're here. We're kicking. Feel a little bit better, which is nice. So, on the mend. And now, of course, it's the weekend. So, really happy about that. No more work. Only fun, as they say. Also, next week, I will be out of town. I will be working with a customer on site. I will be traveling across a little bit north where I am now, and I will be, unfortunately, not really posting anything as of next week, which is why I was planning on doing bi-weekly streams. However, we had one last week. Now we have this one. It's just because I was traveling next week, so I wanted to have something out there to intake any questions that any of you may have had. Right, so again, any questions about Microsoft 365 Copilot experiences, please feel free to ask. Throw them in the chat. You want to just have a normal chat? That's okay too. I can talk to, almost any subject that I'm knowledgeable in, or just, figure things out as we go along the way. That's what Copilot is there for. So I will try to get maybe a video out next week, but I'm still not really sure if that is going to be possible or not. So we'll just have to wait and see. So besides that, I do hope everybody is doing all right. I hope that your week has been well. I just messed up one of my screens. What just happened? What happened here? Where's my screen? There we go. I lost my chat. Perfect. My chat just went out on me for some reason. So, okay. So, really quick recap. This week, we released 2 new videos. So, we have some videos out there. What did I post on Monday? I don't even remember. Monday, Tuesday, something like that. I don't even remember what I put out there. I know what I put out there today because, it's today. But let's see here. What was the video for Tuesday? One here. Which Copilot do you have? It's very intriguing to me. Copilot is, of course, very confusing to many people, especially those that are new, right? If anyone here, of course, has been using Copilot for some time, you probably have a pretty good mental hold on what Copilot experiences what, especially if it comes to enterprise versions, which we are specifically focused on within this channel. Maybe over time we look at Pro on the personal side, but for now, not really worried about that. And of course, the personal side, which is you use these for free or use the Pro edition, which I think is currently $20 a month. You would be so surprised that people don't understand the differences between the two. And I get it. I really, truly do. The branding, right? I get a lot of questions on this channel from my enterprise customers. The Copilot brand it's confusing, right? When I say the word Copilot Chat, you see on my screen here, welcome to Copilot Chat, right? But you have Copilot Chat that's licensed, you have Copilot Chat that's not licensed. It's like, oh, which one do I have, right? So you gotta, take a little bit of time. Also, I think it's very confusing when it comes to the personal side. It's not called Microsoft 365 Copilot. It's called Microsoft Copilot. So you lose the 365. So, yes, it's confusing. We have a video out there to help explain a little bit about that. Hopefully that's good for any, again, enterprise users, people that are just curious about the experiences. to help talk to what they are. And of course, today's video, honestly, I really like today's video. Copilot and SharePoint. And let me tell you why. I sort of explained it a little bit in the video, but I have a vast amount of experience with SharePoint products. I started my career with SharePoint right out of college. I had a internship in college working with SharePoint 2010. And then I moved into my first role, my first job in the IT industry, working as a SharePoint administrator with SharePoint 2007, 2010, and 2013 environments. So moved all the way through and then into SharePoint Online with Microsoft, which that's what I focused on for about 4 years here at the Microsoft organization. And now I focus on Copilot. You know, it's cool to have that knowledge, but I am happy that I made the switch because a Copilot, of course, is a lot more flexible and a lot more fun, in my opinion. And I was just looking for something new. So over 10 years working with a product, you start venturing out into other areas of interest. I see Pradeep here. Pradeep, hey, thanks for your comment. I watched every single video of yours. Hey, support, man. I very much appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching the videos. I try to put some time into it to hopefully be helpful to anyone that may want to watch them. So that really is my goal as just a person. I want to help people understand how to use these products, and the reason why is because I truly do love using them. I use them every single day, specifically Copilot in this case, not so much SharePoint and such as in the past, but I live and breathe this thing. You know, we talk about new technologies and things that you can use to help benefit yourself and automate more of your work. And just these new AI tools have become such a behavior switch, a mental and habit based switch in the way we approach work. And I think that's so intriguing, right? I think it's very intriguing that it's not just that traditional technology. Hey, you button click, you know what's going to happen, or you have to flow through this really structured process to get from point A to point B. You know, Copilot and AI, you can be so flexible. You can just talk with it in so many different ways, the ways that you prefer specifically to go from point A to point B. And that's why I always talk about when I educate my customers on Copilot, you should be very conversational with it. I don't spend a lot of time prompt engineering. Just general note. Like maybe some of you, I guarantee some of you are probably better prompt engineers than I am. And I don't really like that. I'm not a big prompt engineer. And honestly, I don't believe that prompting is going to be as much of a concern as we move into the future state of what AI is and how we interact with it. I think it will more inherently know who we are, what we focus on, and what we do. We're just not quite there yet, right? And because we're not quite there yet, we have to be so much more detailed, right? We talk about engineering your prompt. It's just really giving it good, rich mental detail based on what you want because it can't read your mind. So you have to be very specific. I also talk to people about, I don't really create my own prompts. I don't manually create them. I have Copilot create my prompts, right? So I've been playing around with GPT-5 a little bit over the last, week or so since we've released GPT-5 into Copilot experiences. And I've been trying out some different ways of like engineering my own prompts. You can do things like, tell it what kind of personality it has. So we could say something like, you are an expert prompt engineer. If I can spell engineer, it doesn't really matter if you spell correctly or not, but I'm going to be a little stickler on myself while I'm live streaming to people, and I'm going to spell things as correctly as I can. You're an expert prompt engineer, right? And you focus on best practices for prompt techniques working with OpenAI, Chat GPT, and specifically GPT-5 as an LLM. I do know, I believe OpenAI released some prompt guidance for GPT-5. I'll have to try to find it if I can a little bit later on. But again, we can focus that personality and such, and then we can start to indicate more of what we want. Your goal is to assist me I can type, be in crafting an expert level prompt based on my work and requirements. We can say something along the lines of, oh, what's an idea that I want to do? I want the prompt to focus on assisting me with starting my day and aligning all key objectives for Project Falcon. You know, this is one of those fictitious projects that I've generated within my demonstration environment here. I have some SharePoint documents and my OneDrive documents, you know, project plans, statements of work, different things of that nature that it can pull from. I'll just send it off like this. I could probably add a ton of stuff more, but I like to give it enough detail to at least get started and then see where I can go from there. Because think about it like this. If it can go from point A to point B for me faster just by making some assumptions, well, I've already saved myself some time. I'm not sitting here critically thinking all the time. Or I can look at that first draft prompt that it provides me back, and then I can tell it what modifications that I want to make if it maybe assumed something incorrectly or just wasn't working in the fashion that I required, right? So, of course, we read as always. Let's see here. Did it give me a prompt? Okay, so usually it formats it as a code block from what I've seen. It responded differently this time. Okay, that's fine. So we see, you know, reporting morning operating system, copy paste. Why this prompt works is a section. Oh, here's the prompt. So here's the copy paste. So I've noticed it started to add emojis a little bit more. I don't know if we're updating the personality. I have a little bit of a gripe with this. I'm going to go on a little tangent for a moment. So I found this today. Okay. So OpenAI is making improvements about the personality because of how much feedback that they've had with GPT-5. I don't know about this, in my opinion, right? If it comes to the commercial side product, I get it. You know, people use ChatGPT for so many different things. It's not just focused on work, which is more of what our channel is focused on, right? But my hope is that this type of update doesn't impact Copilot experiences. I don't care about Copilot being friendlier. I don't care about it being warmer. What do I care about? I care about it automating my work. I want it to be concise. I want it to be detailed and focused in its response. And I want it to give me what I require so I can move forward with my work process faster. Because I don't want to sit there and meddle with things all day long. So I hope this form of update doesn't impact work-based environments and experiences. I don't know for sure. We'll see. Again, we partner with OpenAI when it comes to GPT-5 integration with Copilot ecosystem-based products. So we'll see that. But, you know, I noticed these emojis and I'm like, oh, please. This is one of the gripes that I had with GPT-4o. GPT-4o loves emojis. And I'm like, please, I don't want to have to keep saying, don't use emojis. Don't care, right? I want to do my work. So Wade here says, I noticed the emojis today as well was working. Yeah, see, so it was nice because, you know, I didn't have to worry about it for the last week. And now it's updated, I guess. So I don't know. We'll see how it continues to move forward. The one thing to get around this, of course, is, you know, I prefer you do not use emojis. You can tell it that, and Copilot memory can take hold. Or, of course, you can, you know, go into your settings specifically and your custom instructions, and you can say, do not ever use emojis, dude. Put it in the bag. Let's go. I want to move it on. Okay. So it's just some key things to consider as you modify and personalize your overall experience. That Copilot memory, dynamic memory built in, it's great. Check out the video if you have not. Otherwise, you can just tell it your preferences in the chat experience or indicate your explicit custom instructions. So highly recommend you take a little bit of time to do that. If you have not done that, this is a demo environment for me. So I blank out my custom instructions all the time because I continually demonstrate this functionality to customers. So I have to, you know, blank it out. I don't have my personal preferences in here. My Microsoft tenant, I have tons of personal preferences, right? My actual real work that I do. So just some things to consider for all of you too. So it looks like it has this, you know, calendar and such. Let's see here. Or sorry, calendar. Did I say calendar? This prompt. This prompt. Project Falcon morning operator. Job is to produce precise, actionable plan today, so on and so forth. Authoritative sources. So it's like, telling the AI, if I copy paste this prompt, this is where I want to pull data from. Maybe that's useful. Maybe not, right? You can modify it, take it out. Calendar awareness, stakeholder signals, deliverables, snapshot, 3 objectives. You know what? Let's just do this. Let's just copy and paste this bad boy. All right, let's just copy and paste this thing. Let's just see what it does. I'm always curious. I review through these. I do actually read, right? When I'm doing a lot of live demos and such, I have to move a little bit faster. I only have like an hour to spend with all of you tonight. I have to go, say goodnight to the kids and such here in a little bit. But, I just try it out. Let's just try it out. What does experimenting hurt, So I even have the citations and such in there. I don't know what it's going to do, so let's just find out. And while that's going, let's see here. Wade says, and actually the conversation I was using today was a continuation from yesterday, and yesterday's chat had no emojis. So yeah, and that's the thing to always consider when you talk about like the architecture, right? Yes, it understands your previous chat history in that same chat, but the core difference here, you know what? I'll pull it up. How Copilot works. Oh, that's not the article that I want. You're gonna make me use Copilot for this? Architecture. Yes, I do searches sometimes. There we go. Here it is. All right. Right. So we talk about the large language model, GPT-5. It could have possibly been updated, right? Well, you would think that wouldn't impact any current existing chat prior to the update, but that's not going to be the way it works, because every single time you send a prompt to this AI assistant, it sends all of that chat history back to this Azure OpenAI service, right? So within our service trust boundary, our Microsoft data centers and our Azure instances, where we host these large language models, if any new training and updates have happened, you could have a same conversation from a year ago, and you put a new prompt in. All it's going to do is flow all of that specific data back over to that brand new, updated, and trained large language model, and then give you a response with how that large language model responds. So just something to consider as you work through these, AI experiences and how they're architected and how they work overall. But it's really good knowledge to have because it paints a broader picture on how the technology fully works and functions, so you are more informed. Okay, so hopefully that's a little bit helpful. Oh, again, I love to go on tangents about things if I can. So let's go back here. I mean, let's see what the snapshot looks like, right? So we have all of these documents. Now, here's one thing I know I would change about this prompt. First and foremost, most likely these documents are not going to be changing that often, unless I have a group of people, like a team or a project team, something like that, that are actively updating these documents all the time. That's where this type of prompt might be useful, because then I could pull out any new updates, changes to the content, things of that nature. Most of the time when you're looking for like a daily briefing or a new update, series of informational updates, you're really focused on your communications, right? Your emails, your Teams chats, your channel messages, all of that rich data around you that's constantly flowing in and out. And that's really on the communication side. So I would probably switch the overall sources to say like my Exchange email, my Teams chats, my Teams channel messages, things of that nature. But again, we can just keep going. So we have our snapshot. You have some different phases and such taking place, key areas, top objectives. It did align as well, owners and such. I could see this being a prompt maybe a little bit more useful for like an executive or an executive administrator pulling data across their specific data sources and such as well. Things like budget checks might be good for a project manager or a financial analyst that's focused on that project, things like that. Meeting preps and such. So again, there's some good stuff in here. It looks like little checkboxes too. Let's see if this works. I've seen this happen before where it inserts these little checkbox-like style emojis. And if you send it to a Copilot page, it actually should be like real checkboxes that you can check. So scroll down here. There's our whole prompt, which by the way is a little bit of an update. You probably have seen this. When you now send page data to a Copilot or Copilot output to a Copilot page, you now have the whole prompt information that was sent as well. Sometimes you might want this for knowledge purposes. Other times you'll probably delete it out. All right, I'll give you an instance of when I would normally delete this out here in just a moment. Scroll down here. Yeah, look at that. Little radio check buttons, things like that. That's pretty cool. Right? So we add this more dynamic material into the ability to go from point A to point B, like task lists, checkboxes, commentary-based options, images that you can provide over into that page experience. Very useful, right? Highly recommend if you're not using Copilot pages, sending Copilot output to something like a OneNote notebook, send it to Copilot page, right? You can add these pages to a loop workspace, for example, and that can be your new OneNote notebook. That's what I do now. All of my customer information for meetings and strategies and project plans that I'm creating with Copilot, I'll centrally save in a customer loop workspace that I have. So that way, if my leaders need updates or I need to pull information out, I can do that with Copilot. So some things to consider. Okay. Let's talk. I have seen some success actually this week with GPT-5. I cannot show it, but I can talk to it a little bit. Right now, I'm going through some what we call account transitions. I'm going from one customer to another. I've been tasked with pulling all kinds of information on the work that I have done and any risks or blockers or key action items or deliveries that have happened. All of that rich information on the customer work that I do. I've created some prompting materials with GPT-5, and then I'm running that in GPT-5. I always do the experiment. Try the prompt in GPT-4o, the main default experience. Do not toggle this, try GPT-5 on and you're just in GPT-4o, or then try in GPT-5 and see what the differences are. I will say I even tried it with Researcher, right? Researcher did hallucinate a little bit on me. It added some key customer contacts into some of its output that were not customer contacts. There were different customer contacts that I had. I was like, ooh, interesting. I got Researcher to hallucinate a bit. Took a while to read the Researcher output because it's so lengthy, right? So I don't think Researcher would be good. I wanted that more fast hit, a little bit of reasoning. That's where GPT-5 shines. And I tried it with GPT-5 and man, and those customer account transition one-pagers that normally take me a day each took me about 5 minutes. So it's like, you look at that type of use case and you just say to yourself, wow, that's amazing. The fact that I'm able to save that time, or maybe in the past, instead of creating one pagers I could send to my colleagues to assist with transition, I would just have like a 30-minute meeting and I would verbatim tell them by voice what I'm doing. But a lot of information is lost in translation with that legacy way of work. So I was able to do it with GPT-5. And now I have a structured data set aligned to all that rich meeting data, file data, and emails and chats and all the information that I need. I can just send that off to my colleague and say, here you go. Easy peasy. So really cool stuff that you can do with GPT-5, but I would still recommend to everybody, as we continue to ideate and figure this experience out a little bit more, always run the prompt in both GPT-4o, the main default experience, and GPT-5. Because it may be that GPT-4o does something a little bit better. Just some considerations there. Now, I don't know if any of the viewers here were in our last office hours live stream that we had. I know that there was a little bit of discussion around sharing of agents and agent governance and such. So I do have a little bit that I pulled on agent governance that I did want to share. Let me pull this up really quickly. I will put it in the chat for everyone as well if you want to peruse. It is directly from our adoption site. We have an adopt or a governance white paper specifically for agent governance, so something to check out to assist with any of those particular questions. I do recall I got a little hooked up on the deployment of agents, and I now realize why. So general note to anyone when it comes to that agent deployment conversation, I'm in here, I'm in 365 Admin Center. I have this new agents area. It used to be all of your agents were found under, settings and integrated apps. It's behind my camera. right here. Let me take the camera off 1 second here, 1 moment. You see there behind the camera, down here, integrated apps is highlighted bottom left corner, right? So that's where all the agent specific options were. Now you can directly just go to agents here under what we call the Copilot control system. So we're trying to centralize all these administrative options around Copilot experiences and agents. Now, I noticed last time what I had done was I went into type and shared, and these are custom agents. The presentation analyzer and the content insights analyzer. Again, I know presentation analyzer is a little cut off, just the icon. But I clicked on the options here. I'm like, why isn't there a deploy option? Why can't I deploy this? Well, first and foremost, under the account that I'm on, I created these agents, and I've directly shared them with anyone. So you see how it says just shared, and it's available for all users. I can just send the sharing link for this agent out to anybody that I so choose. I just go to chat, go to my agents, and there's Content Insights agent, and all I have to do is share. Click on share, and there you can see I can share it, sharing link with anyone or specific people across the org, if of course it loads for me. So just some general notes. There we go. There it loads. Or I just copy the link as well. So some good stuff there to check out and look into, right? Where the sharing option or deployment option comes into play is things like, some of these external agents, for example, right? So if my organization decides that we have some of these third-party services, different organization solutions that we want to use, like Asana, for example, there you go. You can see there is a deploy option. So a little bit, different experience as you work through deployment of agents. I'm sure there's also some deployment options when it comes to like Copilot Studio and how you directly deploy agents out in Copilot Studio, which, general note for awareness for everybody, I'm not a Copilot Studio expert. I am not a Power Platform expert. I'm trying to learn a little bit more as I go so I can expand on my role and my knowledge, but I haven't really truly been able to get fully into Copilot Studio as of this time. My main core experience is focused on user adoption and education of all the wide variety of Copilot in-app experiences from the Microsoft 365 Copilot specific license. That's my job every day. So, but again, I want to know more. I want to know everything that I can. So more to come, as they say. All right. So again, if anybody has any questions in the chat, don't see anything, coming through, you want to interact on anything, please feel free. Let me know. I want to be engaging to the things that you are maybe curious about or are wondering about. That's why I'm here. That's why I host these office hour sessions, or again, just to share some information. Now, let's go in. Let's see what updates have been coming out here soon. Let's go to the message center. For anyone that may not be like an IT administrator, maybe you're more of an end user, we do directly post updates to IT administrators via our 365 admin center. I can filter down on Copilot updates that are going to be coming out in the not so distant future. Let's look at what a few of these are coming in here. That'll be good. Oh, let's see. What's this one? Gen AI capabilities in the Create module of the Copilot app coming to all Copilot chat users. Does this include unlicensed users? Create users without... Oh, look at that! Without a Copilot license. Hip, hip, hooray! Yay! I was surprised we didn't do this in the very beginning. So, again, just to talk about this in a little bit more detail. If you wanted the ability via the brand new Create module, it's on my left side nav, right? It's like behind my head. It's like right here, behind my head, right on the navigation. Let me see if I can show it here. 1 second. There it is, right here. See, Create. If you don't have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license, the $30 license a month, you do not have the integrated AI experiences available to you. You can create documents, you can create presentations, Excel files. There might be 1 or 2 other options in there. I really don't recall what's in there. With the license in the current experience, you get a ton more, right? You already see create an image, create a video, design infographics, design posters, edit images as well. You can also design things like, where is it at? Create a story, right? There's all kinds of like ways that you can go about this. And I've already mentioned this in my last live stream. I use this Create module to create all of my YouTube thumbnails. So all of the imagery and such you see on my YouTube thumbnails is directly derived out of this Create module. I love it. It's great. but it's not available for unlicensed users. So it looks like we are actually going to make that available for unlicensed user experiences. Currently mid, right about now, and complete in the coming weeks. Cool. So if anybody here does not have a license and just uses Copilot chat with the ability to focus on the web, well, there you go. You get more, which is great. So one big thing there, let's see here. Unified conversation. Ah, yes. I believe I know what this one is. Okay, cool. Let's see, when does it roll out? Mid-August? Late August. Let's go into our conversation history. Ah, this is a lovely update. It's so simple, yet so amazing. So we talk about streamlining your conversation history. One of the biggest issues and challenges that I've found in my work with Copilot is when I want to go back to a previous conversation and I cannot find the dang thing. It's impossible. And one of the reasons why it's impossible is because sometimes I don't remember if I've used the work chat or the web chat. So you'll notice I have the work and the web toggles here at the top. And if I switch those, the conversation history switches. It changes. So you see now I have previous 7 days. And if I go back to work, it switches back. Right? Very annoying. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that toggle out of the conversation history experience. We're going to streamline it down into just one full conversation history. I think that's going to be a lot better of an experience. There should also be some additional like search-based controls and such as well. And we've made it better when the new UI rolled out, because now you can see things like, oh, does this conversation have a Copilot page against it? Or was it a conversation with an agent? You have more of those indicators right on those conversations. So you have more visual indication of, exactly where you may want to go. So Wade here says, in my tenant, we only have about 15 of 275 users with the Copilot license. Rest just have enterprise chat via 365v5. I'll be on the lookout for that for my users. Yeah, perfect. Definitely call it out to them. And here's the thing. In my experience, I've never been a creative person, right? I always, say as a running joke, but it does have some truth behind it, that the best I can do is draw a stick figure, right? And I don't really know how to brand well because I've never played that role. I've always been a really technical person. And when the create module came out, I thought it was very intriguing that I started to create a lot more in that specific module, imagery related, brand related. I started branding some of my documentation that I create as well with like banners and such, because I could do it so quickly and elegantly by just prompting an AI and then having some form of brand that I could apply to my document content or my emails or my thumbnails, right? There's so many ways that you can go about that. So you'll notice with your time savings, you will want to venture and broaden out into other areas. I highly recommend you try out the Create module because it's just as much fun as using the normal Copilot experience as well. So, Wade, you also asked, is the new UI coming to Teams? I am assuming that it eventually is. I actually just asked internally about when or if that update will be coming to Teams. There is no current timeline. We have had one or two different very large enterprise customers that have been requesting this. And the reason being is because vast majority of their user base uses Teams as their central, app mechanism. And one issue that we currently have with that is if you are on the old user interface experience, you do not have the GPT-5 button. So let's go in here. Maybe it's different now. Nope. See, no try GPT-5. It's not there, right? So that's a challenge. You have to now go to the web browser if you want to try GPT-5. That's in my opinion, that's a missed opportunity. So my hope is that we update the interface here in Teams in the not so distant future, but I have not heard any specific timelines. So if you want some of the new UI elements, things of that nature, you have to go to the web browser. Also, general note, I'm very curious on how they would update the UI in Teams because I feel like it would be a little confusing. The reason why is because, well, look at where the UI is here on the web browser. It's appended to the left. And then look at the left side in your normal Teams experience. You already have a left side navigation. So are you going to have two left side navigation? You see? So I think that might be a part of the challenge, working with the overall navigational experience. But again, that's just my personal thoughts. I don't know for sure, right? I'm just a frontline worker. I'm the lowly peon that is disseminating the Microsoft message on all the updates that are coming out, as I've been told. So, just some things to consider. I don't make the decisions. Hey, Gerald, glad to have you here. I see you've left some comments here as well. Let's see really quickly. I want to create an agent to get genealogy data from a CSV file and insert it into a SQL table. I use Windows Authentication to connect to the database in Power Automate Desktop. Can I use Windows Authentication? I have a stored procedure in SQL Server for inserts. So when it comes to, all right, let's talk out the solution maybe a little bit at a high level, Gerald. So when it comes to this particular instance, if you're talking about using like an agent that you create with Microsoft 365 Copilot specifically, that's not really going to be a fully fleshed out process that you can do unless you have certain data connections in place. Things like SQL Server are not inherent data connections available in Copilot experiences. So you can't say, tell an agent inherently, hey, I have this information, now go, send it to a SQL Server table. You would have to have some data connections in place. The other side as well is you would have to use Copilot Studio because that would include what we call actions. Or I think they actually now call them tools. Let's check and see. It used to be called actions, copilotstudio.microsoft.com. Let's open this bad boy up. I'm not an expert in here, by the way, so, I'm probably going to break something or do something I shouldn't be, but you know what, let's just go in anyways. I do try to meddle around as much as I can. It's called tools. Tools. You see? So you have to add these tools, and these tools are these data connections, just like you would see in Power Platform. So if you have those connectors and such, and you could use those connectors to send data to a SQL database, like I search for SQL. Is there a data connection in here? Let's see. Execute SQL query, get rows, transform, insert row, maybe. You have to use something like that. But again, your organization would have to allow you to use those tools. Certain organizations have things like data loss prevention policies in place that block certain connectors from running based on how organizational data is flowing through these systems. So just something to watch out for in that case. But I mean, I see that particular use case for you, Gerald, being possible. You just, if you want to do it fully with an agent, you would have to do it via Copilot Studio, at least from what I currently understand. My other recommendation is if some of that functionality, Gerald, is not available to you, try to break your process down into smaller chunks. I always look at what are those little portions of my process that I can just enhance and automate with AI. The out-of-the-box AI tools that I have at my disposal, right? Is there something that I'm doing that I can have the AI do for me, like aggregating the information in a certain way, or giving me some form of data back based on a requirement, something like that. And then, of course, I expand that process over time as I get more agent-based functionality available. So, Gerald, hopefully that helps out a little bit. Let me know in the chat if that's helpful or not. Really do appreciate the comments. Wade here says, I prefer the standalone Copilot 365 app, but noticed the other day that Teams UI was still old, which I haven't used since the UI revamp. Yeah, I think, we just put it in macOS as well. So, yeah, actually, that's my main experience, too. I do like the Copilot in the Microsoft 365 Copilot desktop application. If anybody has been around since, when Copilot initially came out, we had a desktop integration, an operating system level integration, where I could click on the Copilot icon like down in my ribbon bar, and I could open it up and then say like change my background, or like set this specific setting, like do different things on my device. That was removed. I used to use that all the time because it was just an easy button click and I can open up Copilot on my device. Well, after we removed it, then we took the old Microsoft 365 app and we modified it to now be Microsoft 365 Copilot when the new user interface came out. And now that's the desktop application experience that I specifically, prefer. I don't use Teams as much, I will be honest. I like the desktop app. I also like the web browser a lot. I'm in the web browser a ton. The gripe that I have is I can't have multiple conversations open on the desktop application. I wish I could truly show you all my web browser in my work. You would be just mind blown at how many conversations with Copilot I have open simultaneously. Sometimes I'm running like 5 or 6 different ones at the same time. Some are using researchers, some are using analysts, some are doing GPT-5, some are quicker hit type conversations. I have tons. So I wish there was a way in the desktop application where I could have like a tabbing mechanism to maintain open sessions for my conversations. I think that would be a fantastic update. But who knows? We don't know. We'll see in the future. So it would just be really nice because usually I use the desktop and then I have to switch to the web browser because I have to do something else. So perfect. Gerald says, "Hey, thank you for the information." Yeah, Gerald, no problem. Thank you for the interaction. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here and asking a question or stating your statements as well. Thank you so much for the support. So again, hope the information has been useful for all of you so far. Let's see. Time flies, of course, when you're having fun. It's 8:40. Now, just as a brief synopsis, for the work I've been doing lately, it's really been focused on that SharePoint and OneDrive Copilot experience. I will be working on a video for OneDrive Copilot here in the not so distant future. I highly recommend you check out SharePoint Agents if you have not. That's specifically a portion of the video that I posted today. SharePoint Agents are great when it comes to knowledge source information that you may want to leverage and use. I did leave out a little bit in terms of updates because I might have some future updates on this that I'm going to talk to, but I'll note some of them here on the live stream. I mentioned things like, when you have your agent in SharePoint, let's open up our little Copilot window here and we'll go to our Project Falcon Manager 2, which this is the agent I created in the video that I posted today. And I have, this particular information. I showed today that you can copy link for Teams. All right, I can copy the link for Teams and I can directly go over to my Teams chats and I can paste those messages, right? So here's an example. I don't know why it says agent. It's interesting. Let's go to a different. Go to this one with Billy. See if Project Falcon Manager 2 works. Moment. It's added. Okay. Let's see. There we go. So something to consider when it comes to injecting SharePoint agents into your chats is in the current state today, you can only have one active at a time. So I did have another one. Let me see if I can show this to you. I'm going to go to, I have this other one, the main Project Falcon Manager agent. I'll copy the link for Teams here. And if I paste this one, second, throw that in. Notice in the last day or two, some of this has been working a little bit slower. Add to this chat. See, mod admin removed Project Falcon Manager 2 from the chat. So if I wanted to have someone go in and talk with my other agent, I'd have to relink it again, and that would remove the currently active one. Here very soon, we will have an update. This is on the public roadmap in hopefully September, providing you the ability to have multiple agents in a Teams chat. So you could talk back and forth to multiple of them. That'd be really great for group chat scenarios where you're talking with other human level counterparts and then you want to inject specific agents into your process work or your knowledge work. So that's one thing. General consideration as well as the current limitation is you can only add SharePoint agents into a chat, one-on-one or one-to-many style chats. You cannot add them to a Teams channel. That's another update. that is coming out very soon. That should be around the September timeframe, I believe, there as well. So you'll be able to actually add an agent into a team's channel to help with messaging and things of that nature. Trying to think if there's any other ones. There was one other update here. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'll find it on my other device so quickly. But there's some good updates happening in the space. The one thing that I really want to see, though, in the SharePoint agent experience, as well as Agent Builder, is I want to see those connectors, those tools. I want to be able to add those tools outside the bounds of Copilot Studio, but we're just not there yet. We used to have, when you would create an agent. Let's see if it's there anymore. I don't think it is. No, it's not. So in the configure screen, we used to have a little box, and it said actions, but it's not there anymore. It said coming soon. And those actions, it was renamed now to tools, as we showed here in Copilot Studio, add tool, right? So we used to have actions. That's now been removed from this interface. So I don't know what's happening in that regard. I wish I did. It would be really nice to be able to add more proactive based actions into an agent experience. My assumption is that will eventually be available, but right now it's still not there. So Lucas here says, Lucas from John Deere, Brazil here. Hey, Lucas, what's up? You know, it's really cool. Back when I was in college, I got to go and visit John Deere in China. Got to visit one of the manufacturing facilities for some of your heavy machinery in China. It was a really cool travel study trip I did back when I was in my younger days and I didn't have gray hair here in the beard. So, cool. Hey, Lucas, glad to have you here. Thanks for joining. I very much appreciate it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm just, sitting here sharing some information. So, all right, let's go ahead and move back over. Let's see what other updates are here, right? Filter chat history for easier context recall. Oh, this was the other update for chat history. There you go. You can filter on agents. You can filter on chats that have Copilot pages. Of course, we now have the search box as well in that conversation history. So just some key things to consider as you work on your overall finding and work of chat-based experiences with your conversation. Cool. Cool. Good updates. I'm happy to see some of these. This is new. I think this is actually going to be a part of Frontier, actually. Let's see here. Surveys agent. I actually do have access to this, but I've never tried it. Well, let's see if it's here. Let's see. All agents. Does not currently look like I have surveys. Check if it actually shows up in the built by Microsoft list. Excuse me. Still a little under the weather, a little hoarse, so apologies if I'm coughing or sniffing or anything. I do not see. Yeah, I do not see it. Let's try surveys. Okay. I don't see that there. So I'll see probably here in the not so distant future that will be in there as well, but it does appear that the surveys agent is going to have some form of Microsoft Forms capability behind it. This is on my list of things to test for new experiences coming out. Maybe we'll have a video on it in the future as I'm able to become more knowledgeable for it, but just something else to watch out for. But again, Copilot is built into Forms. So if you are generating forms to get feedback information and such, definitely use Copilot there because it can help you generate those question and answer based pairs that you want. So, let's see here. Gerald, John Deere's full slogan: nothing runs like a deer and nothing smells like John. Gerald's got some joke. Perfect. Let's keep going. New request and approval experience for agents. Oh, what's this? Even those currently unavailable. I wonder how they're going to request. Copilot agents and connectors page in the admin center rolls out mid-August. I don't think that's actually here yet. Requested agents. Okay, well, I don't have anything in here, so I'll have to play around with that a little bit, see exactly what that is. I haven't had the ability to check updates in the message center since about Wednesday this week, Tuesday, somewhere around there. Let's go back in here a little bit, scroll down some. Not worried about admin policies. Ah, there you go. Reference Excel files when creating slides in PowerPoint. Same thing with PDF files, so more content mechanisms that you can directly reference as you are working across your work data and wanting to generate that information in a PowerPoint experience. Let's see here. Ah, this one too. Do we have a picture? Yeah. You might see this in the not so distant future. Let's actually hold on. When is this releasing? When is this rolling out? Late August. Right now expected late August. So in our experiences here fairly soon, you'll have easier ways to actually target source data. So right now, how do we do this? Well, we do this via the prompt. We indicate explicitly with our natural language, where do I want to pull source information from? Here in the not so distant future, however, it looks like there's going to be some toggle based experiences to allow you to select that particular source information. Now, from what this indicates, this is going to be with the researcher agent only. So maybe it comes out to normal Copilot chat experiences. I can't see it right now, so nothing there. But it does look like it should be coming out to researcher. Actually, open up researcher. Yeah, just that content mechanism. The other final thing that I think is interesting, I've actually gotten the ability to play with this a little bit, should be on your mobile application. You know what? Give me 1 second, everyone. I'm going to get some water just really fast, and I'll be right back. Okay, so 1 second here. All right, sorry about that. So when you talk all day, educating people on Copilot, throat tends to run a little hoarse. So I'm really sorry about the slight delay there. Okay. So what I was talking about there for just a moment was a new voice mode, right? So I know most of you, if not all of you, have probably seen the voice to voice style chat that you can have with like ChatGPT. You can actually do this, I believe, with the Copilot personal experience as well. And I do believe currently for work experiences, it is available as within the Microsoft 365 Copilot mobile app. Here soon, you should also have a new voice icon, which right now we have the voice to text dictation icon on the bottom right hand corner, but it'll be like a little like wave style symbol next to that microphone. I've tried this as of just this week in my work. It's actually pretty cool. The ability to just have a back and forth, very natural language chat. I showed a customer this. They were sort of, how should I say, surprised because it actually adds like little ums and such to sound more natural in the way that it speaks back. Very, very weird, very science fiction-y and such, but still honestly really cool. The ability to work with these AI assistants in different ways that we never could before. So, uh, Lucas here says, did you see a lot of difference using the bottom try GPT-5? So, I still haven't found like a really good, like really well thought out use case for GPT-5 as of yet. I will say, usually the use cases I was using Researcher for, I have found more value out of GPT-5 because there were a lot of times where I wanted to use Researcher to generate some materials or generate a plan or a strategy based on like customer work that I'm doing. And as you all know, most likely at this point, the researcher agent takes a very considerable amount of time to respond. When GPT-5 uses its reasoning, usually the reasoning only takes between, from what I've seen, like 50 to 80 seconds. So it's pretty quick to respond, and it's very concise and focused on what you want it to do. Sometimes I don't really like the sections of information that it includes. Like, could I say something like, let's try GPT-5 again. Provide an industry brief for Microsoft Corporation based on public web data. Let's just see what it does. Right. Let it go through. Okay, so hold on. Hold on. Copy this. Duplicate this tab out. Didn't do its reasoning step. So let's try to invoke it. Take your time and really think about this before you respond. Okay. Oh, it's because I didn't click the GPT-5. Silly me. I'm getting tired. It's late here in the United States. Try GPT-5. Jesus, I almost did it again. you said. let's see what it does here. Okay. I'm losing it, everybody. I'm losing it. So let's try this. Let's say provide an industry brief for Microsoft Corporation. I want to know their financial posture, key objectives, and AI strategy. And I want your opinion based on factual data on how you think their AI strategy compares to competitors. Let's see what bias we can bring out of this thing. It's going to say I'm the best. Better than all them AI tools. Google Gemini ain't got nothing on me. There we go. We got it to reason. Let's go. All right, let's see what it does here. Wade here says, I'd like a reasoning toggle as a power user so I can have a more reliable GPT-5 response. Sometimes I can't prompt trigger. From what I've seen, Wade, there's a key phrase. There's a key phrase that you should be able to use. Let me see if I can find it. It's like you tell it to think deeply or something along those lines. 1 second here. I think I saved this in one of my... Save that. I don't want to save that. In some of my resources here. But I know there's some type of phrase. I know, I'm sorry everyone, I'm taking my time. I don't see it. I know I just read on this. Oh, let's save it. Well, if I find it again, I'll probably bring it next week. But there should be a way to tell it to like think and reason before it responds. 60 seconds for this one. Let's see what it gives us. Oh, lots of data. You know, this is something that all of you will learn. We at Microsoft, we love data. Love data points, real numbers. Right? I try to track as many numbers as I can because that's what we include. But then a lot of reporting mechanisms and how we make more informed decisions. We love data. Look at all that, all the bold points. I have noticed this too. GPT-5 loves to add these little like sections. I don't know what to call them. Like section at the end. This says takeaway, right? What is that? What do we call that? Is that like inner monologue coming out, like something that it really wants us to understand? Balance sheet is exceptionally strong. All right, let's keep going here. You see, like this one says objective summary. What do I call that? No, maybe we should come up with our own word, or see if there's a word for it. Maybe I should ask it. Quick scorecard. What this means for me. Provide concise output on who you think the best AI company is. Wonder what it's going to say here. The other day, I tried to use this to evaluate my performance. It told me it couldn't tell me anything personal about me. I was really upset. I was like, hey, I want you to tell me how I can increase my salary by 30%. Use all of my personal data and things about me. It said I can't. I was like, you gotta be kidding. What's going on here? GPT-5, you're letting me down. Oh, look at that. Look at that. See? This is why all of you should choose Microsoft. Most complete, monetizable AI platform for enterprises. Now, I can't say for personal, right? I think ChatGPT has everybody be for personal. But for enterprise, that's where I work and function. That's what we talk about here, right? Cool. Those look like quotes in an email. Yeah, let's go back up here. We got all these little numbers. Talking about like these right here. See, what? I'm going to ask it. I'm going to copy this out. I'm going to say, I noticed in your first output, you added a section at the bottom of one of your entries indicating this. I'm curious as to what I should call these sections that you include in your output. Is there a word for it? Let's see what it says. Key takeaway statements, but it just says takeaway, or simply takeaways. Well, hold on a second. What was the other one called? Now I'm on a little tangent. Now I see I'm going down the rabbit hole. Objective summary, right? I don't. I'm gonna do this. Let's try. I don't think. All right, it's not gonna do. It's connected to my other microphone. I don't think it is called takeaways though, because another one of those sections was objective summary. So what are these? Y'all ever go down those rabbit holes where you're just like, just want to know. I'm just curious. This is why I love AI, because you can just talk. Okay. Takeaway is just one label I used. More generally, those are section headers or subheadings that I use as callouts to frame or summarize the preceding content. The callout. Here are common names for that kind of section. Oh, okay. How to think about them. Form subheadings, callout. Callouts. Interesting. Okay. We have a word for it now. All right. Look, you eventually get from point A to point B, figuring it out. So Lucas here says, congrats about your channel. Really good information shared. Already shared with some colleagues that are starting to use Copilot on daily work. Lucas, hey, appreciate the support. Appreciate the love. As long as the content is helpful for those of you and your colleagues, please keep sharing. Let them know. Happy to support. You have any feedback, content you think would be useful, like intake questions from people, and let me know their thoughts, things that they need more information on or what they're curious about. I try to intake as much feedback as I can and incorporate it into my content so that way I can make the videos more relevant to all of you. So really do appreciate it. Okay. So, hey everyone, we are a little bit over the hour time that I had open for this evening. I am going to end the stream. So, as always, I do very much want to thank all of you that have joined in, that have chatted, that have interacted and asked questions or just, talked with me. I very much appreciate the support. Thank you for watching the videos. I put a lot of time into them, and I've tried to make a lot of changes over time from the very beginning about 4 months ago to make them a little bit more relevant and concise and add chapters. I get a lot of questions. Hey, add chapters. We're adding chapters into the videos now. If you have any other, particular improvements or areas of focus you think would be useful, always feel free to leave a comment on the videos. I try literally every single day to reply to any unread comments. If you go through and look, you'll see I have a reply on almost every single comment on all of my videos. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep that up if the channel keeps growing, but hey, I'm doing my best, so we'll keep it going. So besides that, I hope all of you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be from. A wonderful weekend as well, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you so much.